Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Conrad, and how are you, buddy? Today is May 3rd, 2022, the year of our Lord, and I'm back in the shed here in Oklahoma, so that's where we're at. Happy Tresos de Mayo for you guys out there, for all my bilingual listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in live, I appreciate it. You're either listening live on Podbean live, or you are watching my big dumb waterhead float around on your phone or your computer via Facebook Live or YouTube Live or Twitch or all those different, you know, streaming platforms for this kind of garbage. And I appreciate that. And thank you for tuning in. If you want to help support the show, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/conradio, and you can subscribe for bonus shows and exclusive members only episodes and stuff like that. So, just another streaming service, So if you want to support one that doesn't currently have anything planned as far as um, going to Mars or something, or building a spaceship, you can support this streaming program, which is just trying to pay its bills. So I'd appreciate that. So great day. I just got it right off the top. It was a tremendous day here in Oklahoma. We did not do any tacoing for a myriad of reasons. Really, we have to make a big travel to Kansas on either Wednesday or Thursday. And then Friday we have an event there for my cousin who is coming back from wherever undisclosed location the U.S. military sent him. So he's coming back, and everybody's pretty jacked up about it. And so, my aunt asked if we could come and help out with the food side of that, and I think it's good. And I know my grandpa will be there, and I haven't seen my cousin in a long time. So we weren't we already had something scheduled with Davenport on the following day, on Saturday, which ultimately it kind of threw a wrench in everything, but it's fine because my sisters wanted us to come up on that Saturday, and I said I can't do it on Saturday. I have an event. Um, so they moved their whole graduation party to Sunday, so Shannon and I could come up and work it on Sunday, or at least me, if Shannon didn't want to come up. And we go to Davenport and then come up on Sunday and uh, do my sister's party, and then my aunt reached out and was like, "Hey, can you do this Friday thing?" And then I don't want to go all the way to Kansas, drive back to Oklahoma, then drive back to Kansas. So maybe if I can back out of the Davenport thing. And the people at Davenport were super sweet, and kind of, I gave them a little backstory on what was going on, and they were like, "Yeah, family first." So, anyways, because of that, and then yesterday, just very extreme weather in our area. There was tornadoes in Seminole, which I didn't see how much damage, if any, it did too much, but tornadoes real close. And then Kellyville was actually down 66. They had tornado. We've served there before a couple times, and so we didn't go out yesterday. And then today was about the only day that we could have went out, Shannon and I, and it just becomes kind of an issue because you're scheduling it on short notice, which we do on towns. It's not that unknown for us. We'll just show up and serve, and who cares if, maybe the only people we're hurting is ourselves by doing it that way. But there's a lot of towns that we've real familiar with at this point. So I feel comfortable pulling up and them understanding that it's a random thing. And, still, it's not like we're breaking the bank in any of them regardless, but people come out and say hi and support us. And so I thought about doing it today, but the only issue we have then is there was no way I was going to. So unless we just prepare a very small amount and then go to one of these towns and serve, knowing that we're going to have to discard any leftovers, because when we go to those parties at the end of the week, I don't want to reheat that, even if it's a few days, because I've told people that before. The only thing that we have going for us is the fact that it's made that day. It's made within the hour probably. So I like to keep our stuff very fresh. And I didn't want to cook a bunch of stuff today for town and then have to try to store it for a few days and get it all the way back to Kansas safely and then have it still taste as good for people that are looking forward to it. So anyways, we didn't go out today, and for the first time in a very long time, it was just a really good day. I mean, the weather was a little chilly. I went out and did my morning run through the mansions. I like to go to the places in town that have uh, really beautiful homes, and I just crop dust. not because uh, not because I'm mad that they have them. It's just it's the fact that I drank coffee 45 minutes ago, and I get those old jogging toots, and so I like it that it comes out then naturally. It could have done it by the flop house or by the abandoned car house or the junkyard dog house, but instead it does it by the mansions. And I think my butt has a sense of humor in that way. And anyways, I was running through there and had a great run and was listening to a good podcast, kind of, or just a podcast, I guess. I can't say it was that great, but um just good. And I was like, well, I got nothing really going on. I was really anticipating going and hanging out with Shannon today. We got to build at least one more tabletop, if not two, for something on the trailer, and just kind of go through it a little bit more. And we've been doing that a little, being more conscious. We have a new commercial cooler that we got to help, hopefully, make things a little bit easier too. So anyways, my plan was to go out there, but some of you guys that have been listening for a very long time, number one, thank you. Number two, if that isn't you, where you been, buddy? Thanks for being here. Share the show. That helps, and keep listening, guys. And you miss out if you don't. But if you've been listening for a very long time, you know that about a month ago, I think I had cracked the mics open and told Shannon, and then told even the guys, I think, on Those Guys from Wichita, another show that we do. But I know I told Shannon on the OK Taco show, I'm done with it as far as the pasty white boy lifestyle that I've had my whole life. And so I told Shannon I was going to get a tan. I was going to get a fake tan. And I'd never done that before. Not that there's anything wrong with it. My wife reminded me today that before our wedding, we visited a tanning salon, which I think we bought like a month's worth of tanning, but I only went the one time. And for whatever stupid reason in my head, I was like, clearly some hot tanning salon girl is going to come in here and help me figure out how to use a tanning bed. But that's not what happened. I went tanning with my wife before our wedding one time, and it was very lonely. I went into the tanning room. You still feel kind of like an exhibitionist or something when you disrobe. The only time you don't feel like it is if you're at a hotel, because you feel like people expect you to be naked at a hotel. But anytime you're in ironically, a strip mall at a tanning salon and you get naked, it still feels strange. It's like, this could have been like a pediatrician's office, or this could have been a whatever, like a magnet school for kids that are only good with shapes but don't know how to identify numbers or something, and I'm getting naked in here to lay down to look browner is basically it. And so I felt odd. I thought that there'd be a moment back then where my bride to be would sneak in there and we'd have a little, kissy time or something. But it didn't happen that way. So I never tanned again. And my body, it's been through its roller coasters like everybody else's since then. There's certainly periods of neglect, and then there's periods of all that other stuff that you do to try to get it back and all that stuff before you really commit to it. And But I told Shannon, I'm doing it. I want to get a fake tan. And my wife heard that episode and she bought some stuff on Amazon, like a tanning mitt and uh, foam stuff that you wipe on this glove and then you rub all over yourself, and it's supposed to make you savage, as you know, that's what they said. And so I was like, I got back from my run this morning. I knew that kind of what I was telling you before about uh, Shannon and I could go out today, but it would pay for us to go out today. That's it. And so it's like, why even do it sometimes? We got a big weekend coming up. He's got shit to do. And I do. I got to get tan, dude. I got to be Carlos Tantana or something. So I told my wife, I said, well, I'm going to get done running. And then me and you are going to do that thing. And she at first, like many women, even if we've been married for as long as we've been married, 13 years, she was like, I don't, what, taken aback by the approach I was having. But I thought it was important that we did this. Because we've been talking since that episode about tanning, and she bought it and she wanted to do it too. So take the kids to school, go for my run, come back. We're watching this new show on Netflix about, well, it's not new. It's probably been out on Netflix. It's called Amazing Interiors. So it's it's kind of a very woman oriented show, but at the same time, it's not Desperate Housewives or whatever that other garbage is, The Bachelor. So I can enjoy it because you see these people, like there was this people are fucking weird, they're not just podcasters that want to get a fake tan, and are worried about it. There's people out there that buy homes and then they do some pretty wild stuff on the inside of them. Like there was a dude that he he was a cop in North Carolina, and I'm a big fan of law enforcement. It's it's probably easier for me because I've been less tan my whole life. So I can be, but I don't have a big chip on my shoulder towards them. And any of the times that I may have had beef, typically there was a reason that I was in that situation that led to it. Even if I thought the outcome maybe was unfair, but there was this cop on there though that he's sleeved up, covered in tattoos, which is fine. I got some cop friends that got that going on, so that's cool. But he lived in North Carolina, which is already suspect, and then he went home to a beautiful home, and what he had been doing is collecting horror props that he strews among his house in very creative ways. And it's like you don't want your cops to be to me, you don't want your cops to be watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all the other Gremlins, all these other horrific shows. Uh the Ring Girl was in there. She was a full-size woman. He's married to a very beautiful woman. She was there and she talked about dusting them. She had to actually take a spray bottle and go in and dust these movie props. So she would be dusting the Ring Girl, and she's like, it's pretty creepy. I can't be in here alone without him. It's like, I don't want to live in a house where I feel unsafe amongst my own items. You know what I mean? Like that seems stupid. And I don't want my cops I don't want you really on edge. I would rather you go home and watch The Price is Right or something it can be exciting, but don't end with like somebody getting their head chopped off. And that's what horror movies do. So, but the reason I left it on is because, you get to see some pretty amazing ideas, amazing things. And a lot of them, for whatever reason, you feel like they're doable for you. It's like, I could definitely do that. And you can't. Like, there's no way that you're going to be able to assemble a home out of concrete pillars. Like, you can't, but when you watch it, you almost feel like you can. And so, um, I told Heather, I was like, "Hey, let's do this thing. Let's watch Netflix and let's rub our bodies with this tanning stuff and then stand here like dirty mimes and watch this trashy show." And that's what we did. So it was so very intimate, I would say. It's different than having that special time with your spouse or your girlfriend or whatever. It was different than that, but it was kind of fun. So we slathered each other down with tanning solution, and we watched Netflix, this new show about amazing interiors, and then went and showered it off and realized that the tanning stuff, I mean, it did a little bit maybe, but just it's very hard to even be noticeable. More noticeable is the fact that I shaved, I think, and that makes it think that it was the tanning that did that. It wasn't. So I didn't turn into John Claude Van Tan like I wanted to, but um, we're gonna keep going. But it was still a great experience. Okay, and so showered it all off. Then there was a moment of intimacy between her and I because we got all worked up from doing the tanning thing. So that was a great part of the day. And then got done with that part of the day, which was just as fun as the tanning. And it's at this time you're like, eat some lunch, eat a little bit of a late lunch, and I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm just gonna sit here and watch this documentary on this dude that was on The Price is Right, that like was had databases of information about all the items on Price is Right. This dude named Theodore, and he was trying to be on the show, and he was on it a couple times, and pissed off Drew Carey and Bob Barker and all those guys. So watched that documentary. Kids got home from school. Jonah was funny because Jonah he had won an award. Um, and I don't know, for the best presentation of something. He did a spaceman presentation about Mars and had won an award. And he had told me about it when it happened, and I read his little blurbs that he said about the planet, and um, had a laugh about it and whatever. But now he was bringing it home because I guess it's been on display, kind of like the Smithsonian or something. And he was gonna go show his mom, and he's pulling out his bag, and Rowan made a comment about it, like making fun of the face or something that he had colored, and he turned around and he pointed at it. It's like, this is award winning. Like, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine that you have criticism of it. This has won an award. It's award winning, and he was not wrong. It definitely was award winning. So I laughed about that on the inside, and then he bragged about it, and I actually got a picture here of a shark he did today, and then he brought home his Abraham Lincoln, so I got to learn about that too later. I got to read it and figure out what that guy did. So, anyways, that was a great day, and then to top off the day, you almost these are like days that you dream of, man. These are days you dream of. But to top it off, as maybe my best day ever so far, is there's a UPS man that's at the door, and he's dropping off a big package, and it's like, the only thing I have left that I'd ordered is I ordered my son a pair of running shoes. And my wife was like, so she's like, the box is gigantic. I don't think that would be them. And she pulls the box in, and there's just a brand new tool set in it. Like, and the taco truck has been needing a set of its own tools. We didn't order these. So randomly, like a gift from God, they deliver these tools, and I'm not going to say it out loud to who the name was for, but they used to live here, I think. And so I haven't opened, them yet. The box was opened, and you could see that was a tool set in there. And So I haven't opened them. So if they are watching and for whatever reason know that I do this podcast, then they can come get them. But if not, it's gonna be like finders keepers, and so pretty happy about that. But anyways, then I sat down and started prepping for the show, and even that was fun. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what you're going to talk about, and maybe it doesn't seem like that, but it is, and you want to make sure that find stuff that you like, and you want to make sure that it's stuff that you have thoughts or opinions about, and then sometimes they just start once you get into that mindset, it just starts flowing. You know what I mean? Like, um, I did my show prep, and everything I've talked about up until now hasn't even really been on it. But then I was like, well, I'm gonna do a little jog or jog around the neighborhood and just kind of clear my mind a little bit. I hate just sitting there staring at the screen. So, dude, I was if I take the road beside my house, I can run. There's a big steeple of a church. I can run towards that church. It's about a mile, and I can turn around and run back, so I get a couple miles in or something. But right before you get to that church, there is a guy that has a home that has a driveway and a garage, but nothing that typically is used for a garage is in it, like vehicles. He parks those scattered around his lawn, and then I'm assuming that what's in his garage is what the French refer to as garbage, but just a bunch of stuff. His garage is full of so much shit that he can't put his vehicles in there. And even if it was clean, there's one vehicle that he could not put in there. It's the fact that he has a monster truck parked in his driveway. And I snicker every time I pass it or drive by or run by or whatever I'm doing, because it's like, are you married? Like, the fact that there's amateur monster trucking is very American. The fact that you can just sit there and be like, I'm gonna start monster trucking. Well, let's see, 2022, probably start monster trucking finally. For what? You're doing something that, I'm not gonna say it's as bad as women's sports, but this has ultimately no end. There's no payday. There's no anything at the end of this. What you've done is taken a perfectly reliable vehicle. You have manipulated it in a way that now you can't drive it on the road, so it's practically useless. And then the only ability that you've given it will never be as good as the ability that the pros do that actually make money monster trucking, which I'm pretty sure is four. You know what I mean? They got Bigfoot and Gravedigger and probably a couple other too. You know what I'm saying? So, what you doing there, guy? And I'll tell you what they're doing. They're not going to get hurt from it. They're not. People, somehow you can jump, a school bus full of autistic kids at a monster truck rally for everybody's enjoyment. And if you clear it, even if your axle breaks, you're fine. You got the right harness or whatever. If you try to do a backflip, you're gonna be fine. But you are gonna die of what they call lungs cancer. You're gonna die because anybody that gets into monster trucking smokes cigarettes. They smoke a tremendous amount of cigarettes. Okay, because one thing that cigarettes are, if you don't know, cigarettes are harmful for many reasons. They can cause lung cancers. They can cause fucking AIDS and syphilis. If you smoke or vape, you are gonna die. That's gonna happen. You're gonna die sooner than me if I don't do it. But I'll tell you this: if you're monster trucking, if you're out there monster trucking, you gotta smoke cigarettes, because the good thing about cigarettes is they give you this ability to concentrate. And if you're a monster trucker, you're thinking constantly. You need to concentrate. It's like how much travel do I need in my suspension to be able to clear this autistic bus? You got to think about that, and you can't test it. It's not like you can get a bunch of children from some sort of special school and be like, get in the bus. I'm trying to see if I can do a backflip and jump you guys. Like that's not going to happen. It's got to be a sanctioned event. And so there's no practice. So a lot of the stuff that you're wanting to perform in your monster truck is in your head. And so you smoke a massive amount of cigarettes, and I wasn't wrong. I mean, I ran by today, and there was definitely people surrounding the truck, working on the truck, smoking cigarettes. So I felt bad because I was like, even if you achieve it, no one will care. Even if you achieve, as a monster truck driver, if you jump a bus full of autistic children and you clear it, and the crowd, even there could be a crowd that goes wild, no one will then remember the time that they watched. They'll just say, I went to a monster truck rally once. They won't remember your truck. They won't remember you. So you're doing this for love of the game as a monster truck builder. And that's, I respect you for that. But you're going to die of lung cancer because you smoked too many cigarettes. So speaking of autism, I can say that, I guess. Speaking of autism, I don't know. I must have a Google alert or something. Not that these people are autistic, because they're not, but you could argue that autism is sometimes considered a handicap. People have argued that before. And I don't agree necessarily, depending on which version you got. It could actually be almost like a superpower if harnessed and put in the right direction. But some people will say it's a handicap, and handicapped people have always been really close to me. I've always been very sympathetic and aware, I think is a better word. I've always been aware of the cappers out there. And you should be too if you're listening, if you're not handicapped yourself. But I also understand that the limits on a handicapped person are not for able-bodied people to dictate. Able-bodied people, ablers, I think is what handicapped people call us. Ablers shouldn't be sitting around discussing things to do for the handicapped. It ain't our business. We do what we're told by the handicap is how it should work. And for the most part, it does. That's why when you go to Sonic, you see handicap spaces. They told us to do it. We did. We said there's no reason for it, yet we did it. So, just like that cop, we're going back to North Carolina, and there's a company out there called Outrider USA that has launched what it claims to be the lightest production 4x4 vehicle ever. It's called a Cougar. It's an all-electric, single-seat off-road vehicle designed to put outdoor adventures back on the menu for people with reduced mobility, handicappers. And here's the thing, guys. You got to be careful with this, okay? When you find wheelchair-bound people that have either decided that they're no longer going to use their legs or whatever extremities, sometimes people will make that decision on their own. And they won't tell you. They'll say it's something else. I got a friend that does a podcast with me who has been trying to convince us that his legs don't work for the past 7 or 8 months. And slowly they're deteriorating. A lot of it's mental on his part. He's convincing himself as he tries to convince the rest of the world, leading to ultimately the fact that he'll be wheelchair bound is where he's headed. And the thing I've noticed about those people that are either smited by God and put into a wheelchair early for a medical reason that they can't control, or those that were destined through their lifestyle to ultimately end up with circular legs. But either way, there's a common theme once those people get into the chair. And that common theme is this: people in wheelchairs, oftentimes, more often than not, I would say, will find a way to make able bodies feel bad about themselves. Um, they're going to outperform you. So you're going to be like the guy that orders Grubhub because you don't feel like cooking, and they're going to be the handicapped person in a with circular legs rolling around their home and have somehow figured out a ramp system slash cabinet system for them to be able to assemble you delicious gourmet meals, with, and they don't want you to change it. That's the thing about handicapped people. They say fuck off to that. If you tell a handicapped person, hey, we're going to come in here and lower the cabinet, no, I don't want any help. I want to live like I'm normal. And so they want to have 34-inch cabinets and tabletops. They want to have um, overhead storage and stuff, even though they can't stand up. And they figure out ways to do it with a series of ropes and pulleys or a series of broomstick handles and maneuverability, with that kind of thing, grippy things like grabbers and stuff. And they don't want that shit. And so they adapt and they overcome, and then they become more than what you were as an able-bodied person. And so I think for years, I mean, when was the wheel invented? I think a caveman invented that. I think one of those Planet of the Apes types invented that. And for years, that was the only technology that we would allow handicaps to have, was the wheel. Like, we didn't even put motors on it. We just were like, sucks you can't walk. Here is a seat that rolls, but use your arms. And by the way, we're going to make it a little bit wider than every door. And we're going to put stairs in everything. And we did that to understanding that the kind of people that were stricken with something that would put them in a seat, these people have the mindset of not only overtaking their situation, they're going to be better at what you do as an able-bodied. And recently, and I don't know, and I'm not here, gosh, do I hate pointing fingers. Don't I hate that? I hate that. I hate pointing fingers at political parties for stuff. You know what I mean? Because I don't care what these idiots have to say. Because they're stupid. They work in politics, so they're stupid, left or right. But one side or the other thinks it's very important to start focusing on the physically disabled. And if you are out of your mind, whoever's doing this, whatever lobbyist group, you got to listen to me. Stop it. Because if you give the people that are stuck in wheelchairs are the most powerful people that the universe has ever had. Okay? They are the Spider-Mans. They are the Batmans. They are all of those Marvel characters and DC comic characters combined. They're all of that. They can overcome nearly anything. And you're going to start giving these guys tech, and you think it's going to stop at their have a more comfortable life? They're out for you, okay? If you can walk and they can't, and you give them the tech that now, used to be that, like, if a wheelchair person was chasing you, go off-road. Easy. Now you're going to 4x4 them up? What is your problem, dude? You can't 4x4 up a bunch of wheelchair people. They're going to come get you because that's what they want, okay? And they're better than you, and they're grittier than you, and they're tougher than you, and they will beat you. Go put Michael Jordan. Google Michael Jordan playing one-on-one versus wheelchair Olympian. Guess what you're going to see? Michael Jordan getting schooled in basketball, which is what he's known for. And wheelchair person not even really breaking a sweat. It's not even hard for him. They got so many moves, so many dribble techniques. They can put it in their lap, dribble around. I don't even think there is such a thing as double dribble for them. They don't even care. So hashtag double dribble doesn't even matter to them. And you got to be also conscious that there are still a bunch of wheelchair bound people that haven't got their infinity stone yet, where they're going to take over us able-bodieds. They haven't got it yet, and so then you're going to have a situation like I had um, in high school and college, um, which is I had a lot of friends that were disabled physically. All my friends were disabled mentally, but I had a lot of friends that were disabled physically. And these guys were, you got to be careful because these guys, they didn't know their power yet. Like I said, they hadn't got their infinity stone. So if you were to, the problem is they didn't have anything that worked from the neck down. So they had, we just called them the head. We called it, there's actually two of them, so we called them the heads. You know what I mean? Because they were just kind of floating around, and they could get around by breathing into their wheelchair. So if they wanted to go forward, they would breathe out. If they wanted to go backwards, they would suck in air, and it would turn their wheelchair into reverse mode. And then if they wanted to go left or right, they had to kind of flick their tongues or roll their tongues. So they both had to be able to do that. So they had really talented heads. So that's why we called them the heads. And you got to be careful though, because if you're going to give wheelchair bound people a 4x4 utility vehicle that can go 90 miles range, you're going to have what happened to us my freshman year of college, where we had a buddy that we unfortunately, he had a great time, he said, when we found him, but he got pretty drunk, and it was our fault because we were doing beer bongs in college, which was common. It's kind of stupid, but we did it. And we had the head with us. This was Head E, because his name was Eddie, and he was paralyzed from the neck down, and he wanted to do a beer bong. And we're like, fuck yeah, you can do it. You're one of us, dude. And so we gave him one beer. That was it. But it's enough, dude, because all the medicines, that's the thing you don't realize. A lot of people that are paralyzed from the neck down take more medicines than you would imagine for all kinds of reasons. I guess a lot of things to keep their body functioning because their brain doesn't control it. So anyways, the beer mixed with it wrongly, and we were all partying. We weren't paying attention, and Heady left, dude. Head just went out, and he was out on his own, and his wheelchair at that time was the blow kind. So he blew into the wheelchair. He ended up in like the furthest parking lot, is almost 2 miles away, is how far that wheelchair, he blew that wheelchair. He blew it all the way there. And he said when we found him, which was like 2 days later, we found him. He was under a tree. He was fine. Like he was dehydrated a bit, but he was fine. A little frantic at the time, but his wheelchair wasn't charged, and not much he could do about it. So we nursed him. We nursed him back. But you can't put a wheelchair guy in a 4x4 off-road vehicle and have a bunch of heads going 90 to 150 miles away, dude. We would have never found Head if that was him. If he had a 4x4 wheelchair that night and he was drunk on one Michelob Ultra that we beer bonged him, yeah, he cut a lot of calories, but he was out. He would be gone. So you just got to be real sensitive about that stuff. And when you're designing these kinds of products to make life better for those that are less fortunate or have had something going on, you got to be careful that there's consequences to that device. And the consequences are, one, they're either going to take over the world with them because they don't like you because you're able-bodied, or two, they're going to get lost like Ed did. So just be careful, dude. This thing's pretty badass. They're saying like it's for hunting and fishing. I don't understand that, dude. I don't know a lot of people that, I don't know. That's a weird thing for me when you talk to somebody that's like, I'm really in, if I just don't get out there and hunt today or fish, and I know that it exists, but I guess for whatever reason, I don't hang around with the right. Most of the people that I hang around with that are wheelchair bound don't care about hunting or fishing. And maybe it's because they couldn't. So maybe this company's onto something. So anyways, just be mindful of that fact and be careful what we give those that are less fortunate. than us, because there's a lot of times that can come out and bite you, you know. So one of the other things that I had not wrote down on the list or the description that I did want to bring up to you guys though is we did get my wife and I decided that we're going to get Apple TV as our streaming device. We've had Fire Sticks, we've had a Roku, we've had a Google. We've tried it with like the dongles I was telling you about yesterday on the show. And I was like, let's try this other one. So we tried Apple TV. And it's a little bit more pricey, but I was like, you know, it's a 32-inch TV. Let's spoil each other. Let's do it. We're not buying a TV. Let's try to get the best streaming thing that we can buy. And so we got it, and I installed it, and I like it. We got all of our, you know, accounts linked up to it, and we laid down and enjoyed a show that you can watch regularly over the air, The Office, last night, and it was fine. And we, you know, we're very intimate with that show. So it's fun. But the thing that is kind of annoying about it is when it starts on music, and it starts on music videos. And so like this morning I turned it on, and is it Nicki Minaj, I think is her name, or whoever maybe it's Cardi B, the one that does the WAP song, that was the song, and which is fine, but I do have, you know, I don't know what the appropriate age, but I don't think 9 and 7 are it for viewing of WAP. And so I had to quickly figure out how to, but there's no back button on an Apple TV, you know, because everything's IKEA'd out, you know, so you have to press menu twice, or you have to press the screen, or did you set up your settings right? Or I don't fucking know. I just put it on. I don't know. It's however you guys thought it would be the best, and it's confusing. And right now I'm listening to Wet Ass Pussy, and my kids are here, and I'm trying to turn it off. And so, anyways, I figured it out, and you know, the kids went to school, and I was kind of like even though I turned it to extreme builds or something that was like a design show for my children. When they went to school, in my mind, I was kind of curious. It's like, I wonder if that WAP song is still on this Apple TV that we bought. And so I went back to the music videos, and it wasn't WAP, but it was Beyonce's "If You Like It, You Have to Put a Ring on It" video, which in my era, as JFK would say, that song can do it. I mean, that song did it for Jay-Z. That song did it for a lot of people. That was a very good music video. I don't know what they sing about in that song, and I couldn't tell you the lyrics, but as far as as far as shit you're gonna filming Destiny's Child sing "If You Like It, You Should Have Put a Ring on It" in black one-piece swimsuits, that's all right. That'll work. And so my wife got back from dropping the kids off at school, and I was watching that, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was telling her, I was like, I just wish, it's so funny that these women have these dance moves that when they're doing them in this video, it seems so empowering. But in real life, I think it would be either insulting or it would be like inappropriate to do. Like if you bend your arm and snap your fingers at somebody, like give them that thing. Yeah. Like I'll just have one Subway 6-inch. Like if you do that, Subway's gonna be mad at you. The sandwich artist will be mad at you probably. But yeah, well, I'll just have a 6-inch spicy Italian. I've never seen it, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen. And maybe where Beyonce is from, whatever part of America she was born in or lived in, maybe that happened a lot. I don't know. Another move that happened in this music video that you don't do in real life is Beyonce, who was the lead singer of Destiny's Child. Oftentimes she would walk with her no knees. She wouldn't use her knees. I don't know if you have seen this in modern music, but Like she would stand up and like rock her hips, but no bending of the knee. Just kind of like, and just poke her butt out, but no knee bending. And it's very hard. But if you tape your knees up with athletic tape or even unathletic tape, if you taped them and made them rigid, you could do it pretty easily. And that's how you walk and that's how you move your hips. And you look just like Beyonce. And that movement, although unnatural on video, it really works. It really works. Her body seems to move to the song pretty good with no knees. And then, but in real life, I don't think you would like it. I don't think that if somebody was like, oh, no, I need spark plugs for an escort, and then like didn't use their knees and poked their hip out to the side, I feel like you'd be like, all right, what kind do you want? We got Iridium, we got, good. You want just a regular spark plug, what it came with, and you just like, I don't know, whatever the best is, but I'm not paying $26 a spark plug. Okay. So anyways, that's another thing I didn't have on the list for tonight, but I was thinking about. One thing I did have on the list that's just as odd is I know a lot of people do, and I'm like that also, but it's fun running a food truck and kind of getting to explore your imagination a bit, even with ingredients that are pretty much the same. When you run a Tex-Mex truck, it's all the same. It's beans, meat, and cheese, and there's little things you can adjust, but it's all pretty much the same variation of the same main ingredients, whether you leave one out or add one or the different ways you use it. Can you share? Oh, come on. I'm not doing that. So I got a message from my cousin that like, come on, don't do that. I don't want to do it. It's just taco meat. Anyways, it's fun running the food truck in the sense that I can invent things that maybe people at home wouldn't have done. They would be like, that sounds awful. That sounds gross. I would never put ranch dressing on a taco, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. And then we try something and we make it and people try it. And they're like, this is really good. And that's the fun part. But sometimes I think that there's a limit to that. Like people recently were having pickle ice cream. I've seen that. And I love dill pickles. They're one of my favorite. They are my favorite pickle for sure. But they're also one of my favorite vegetables, dill pickle. But maybe it's because I don't like ice cream. I don't think I want dill pickle ice cream. It doesn't sound good. Even though I know it's like one of those deals where if I had it, I'd be like, this is actually pretty good. And so I was scrolling through Facebook and there's a person on there that oftentimes will put a picture of what they're either having for dinner or breakfast or lunch. And I don't know the person that well, but I do know them. And so I always stop and see it, which means it's like stuck in my algorithm. I see almost what she's having every day for every meal. And it's not my fault. She's posting it. We are friends, technically, digital friends on Facebook. But sometimes what she's posting, I'm like, ew, that looks bad. And this morning was one of those times. She posted a picture, and actually it didn't even look that good, a picture of biscuits and gravy, which is as far as breakfast, like heaven breakfast. When I go to heaven and I don't have to, in my heaven, it's like a golden corral. When I think of heaven, you get to eat everything that you either didn't eat as much as. There was a long period of time I ate as much biscuits and gravy as I wanted. Okay, so I can't sit around and be like, in my dream journal, like I've eaten more biscuits and gravy than most people, and so I don't need to be mad about it or sad about it. I've had my fill, but there's a long period of time when I made that decision, being like, I don't care, and I'll eat it because I like it. But So that's where it lives on the, as far as breakfast foods, that's probably the top. It's the perfect thing. I love it. And I still like toast, a good buttered piece of toast and put an egg and a piece of bacon or a piece of sausage on it. Fuck, that's hard to beat. But as an all around, pretty much consistent winner, biscuits and gravy is probably the top. And this woman showed me a picture of her biscuits and gravy this morning. And when she did that, I was like, that looks really good, even though it wasn't the best. It seemed like she bought it at a gas station or something, or whoever bought it for her, because she did tag a person in it. Maybe they brought her breakfast. But in the picture was 4 packets of grape jam. And that's the part that is like, that's a weird combination. If you're squirting packets of grape jam onto your pile of biscuits and gravy, that is not like putting hot sauce on it. And maybe to them it is. Like if they see hot sauce on biscuits and gravy, they get grossed out. And that's something that is a family tradition, at least for my household, where you put a little Tabasco or Frank's Red Hot or what is it, Cholita, put that on there. That'll really, that it almost is the final ingredient that makes a biscuit and gravy the perfect meal. So I think that grape jam sounds awful on it. And as I was looking at it and kind of getting nauseous, one thing is you also bring in to your brain who posted it. And that's unfair, because it shouldn't matter. It should be disgusting regardless. But it's sometimes is more disgusting when you know the person. And it's called being a detective. Like I said, I've always been a fan of police force people. So a lot of times I'm using my detective brain too. And so I take in all these factors, like I know who posted this because I do. And this looks gross and this person shouldn't be putting grape jelly on their biscuits and gravy, is all I thought. Now, if they had posted that same picture with hot sauce, I think that I still would have been like, this person doesn't need biscuits and gravy. I would have thought that, but at least it wouldn't make it unappetizing. That's the thing about, you can't just have a big plate of biscuits and gravy and then show me a picture with 4 packets of jelly next to it. Because now I'm thinking that you're squirting jelly on your biscuits and gravy, and that's gross. It sounds gross now. So just be careful what you're posting out there as far as pictures go, of food. It's not the worst thing I ever seen. The worst thing I ever seen was a good friend of mine, who wasn't wheelchair stricken like the guys I was talking about earlier in the show. This guy was able-bodied supposedly, but maybe not all there mentally, because he ordered a plate of pancakes one time and put ketchup on them. And he did it live in front of me and ate them. It's like, I always put ketchup on my pancakes. He was very serious about it. And I thought that sounded awful. And I was, we haven't talked a lot since that day. And it's really unrelated. A lot of it's just him moving on with his life and stuff. But, a lot of it is related to that. So you got to be careful, dude. Speaking of food, and just the last thing, I'm not going to get to everything on the list. So I didn't get to the Alabama prison escapee. Probably not going to get to my black beekeeper buddy that I read about today. I'm probably not going to get to Germany, which I rarely do. I rarely get to Germany, but I'm probably not going to get there and talk about Witch Day, which just happened. It's a women's empowerment protest thing that they do in Germany. Every country's got them, guys. So be careful. Women are everywhere. And Germany's got a bunch of them that by the thousands go out into the streets every year for Witch Day. And it's to talk about female rights and whether or not they should be able to read or drive or vote or anything like that. And so it's real controversial. And so, they went out this year and they threw a bunch of paint. It's a peaceful protest, but threw a bunch of paint cans and shit through windows and stuff in Germany. Luckily, nobody cares. It's still Germany, so nobody feels bad about it. I'm not gonna get to that. I'm not gonna get to which I have to get to maybe tomorrow for sure. The Japan Care, I got to get to that. That's a good one. And there's also Sausage Factory. I got to get to some old McDonald's. But what I will end the show with today is this. Um, there's a couple things you don't do to Oklahoma people, okay? And even though I wasn't raised in the state, and that's unfortunate. And that's not my doing. A lot of that has to do with the fact that my parents raised me and they chose a different state. But our heart and our family's pulse has always ran through Oklahoma. And so, because of that, a lot of the triggering that happens within our family is consistent with that of the Oklahoman people. Okay. And even though I'm not a born and bred Okie and I had to figure out a way to get here later in life, um, when I read the story today, I realized, it's always been in me. There's a woman who had called a Little Caesars Pizza in Oklahoma, and she had ordered herself a pizza, and she ordered herself an order of Crazy Bread. Okay. Here's the thing, Little Caesars. If somebody orders your Crazy Bread, here's a guarantee. They're fucking crazy. They are a crazy person. The only reason Little Caesars exists is so people can get a $5 pizza. And we know when we buy it that there's better pizza out there, even in the fast food world. There is better options in the frozen food aisle. There are better gourmet pizzas, of course, but when you're ordering Little Caesars, that's it. You have $5. That's okay. When people order Little Caesars, there's nobody that has a 401k that orders Little Caesars. There's nobody that doesn't have to. When you see the commercials for used cars and they say good credit, bad credit, or no credit, these are no credit people, okay, that order Little Caesars. And the reason is they're hungry and they only have $5. And you would think, well, just go get one taco or go get. It's like, no, you're not understanding. I'm hungry and I gotta eat like a lot, and I only have $5, and this will last me. I have to eat this for lunch today, dinner tonight, and breakfast tomorrow, and I have a $5 budget. So, and I don't have an oven, so that's who's ordering Little Caesars. So, if somebody ever calls and says, "Also, I want Crazy Bread," that means they have $8, and they're fucking nuts because they're not spending that other 3 on drugs. They're spending it on pizza, and when they show up and you hand them a box that doesn't have the correct amount of sticks of Crazy Bread sticks in it, don't call the fucking cops like you did and say that there's a crazy woman that's attacking you and threatening to kill you because you didn't give her enough Crazy Bread in Oklahoma. Bitch, that's on you. You're telling me that in a court of law, in Oklahoma law, if somebody goes into court and there is a defendant that's sitting there that's got an Italian guy with a big nose that looks like a shape of pizza on her schmuck, and she's sitting there and she's saying, "Your Honor, this woman came into my place of work and she picked up her pizza and she picked up her Crazy Bread and she walked out after she paid her $8. And she went to her car and she opened both those boxes and she realized not all the Crazy Bread was in there. So she came back in and she threatened to kill me." The judge should be like, "Yeah, bitch, because where's the rest of her Crazy Bread? You're in Oklahoma. If somebody orders Crazy Bread, that shit better be crazy. That shit better be crazy." You cannot uncrazy the bread. You can't give me just a lump of bread or a breadstick or whatever shit you're peddling. And you might think that You are the defense. You're not the defense. That bitch should be suing you. She went and did what she had to do. Okay. So be careful out there, guys. You're working at Little Caesars in Oklahoma. You got to be careful, is all I'm saying. That's their last $5. Somebody's ordering from you. That's it. All right. You don't know how many times I've ordered Little Caesars saying, well, even people that die have to eat something before they die. If this is my last meal, it's it. Like, when you order Little Caesars, you kind of go into there thinking could be my last meal, and I did this because it is your last meal. It's like your last $5. So live like you were dying, dude. Like Tim McGraw said. Thank you guys for listening. Again, if you like the show, there's more shows for you available on our Patreon. I appreciate you guys watching here live and listening live. That's all sweet. And if you don't have $5, one, you can't get a damn Little Caesars pizza, and two, you can't sign up for our bonus show. So God bless you. I hope that you can find it someday, at least get that pizza. But if you got $5 a month that you're willing to send to some waterhead in Oklahoma, consider signing up for our Patreon. There's nobody, it's all the money that we make doing the show. I don't pay anybody to do it. It's just me doing it. Maybe that's evident. Maybe it's not, but, so consider it. I'd appreciate it. It's all that I want to do. And so think about it. If you want the free show only, which I try to give something out every day on the free side anyways, you can also sign up on Spotify and iTunes and all that. It's all Con Radio, and you get access to all the stuff that we do, whether it be the OK Taco Show or those guys from Wichita or this show. So I appreciate that. But if you want to help support, you can go to Patreon and you can share the show and review it and do all that kind of fun stuff too. So thank you guys for watching and listening tonight. And I'll be back tomorrow. Not sure if I'll be in the shed again as the only show, but I'll be back tomorrow. So with that being said, don't let your meatloaf and have an okay